Oh shit, I forgot to turn off my mic. Hello everybody! Beautiful start to a wonderful game. Oh god. Yeah, so I hate OBS. They hide settings that should be readily accessible. Like how to change your mic. I think Windows updated maybe a week ago or a few days ago or something like that. And it changed all my settings on a lot of different places, including Discord. I think mostly Discord is the one where I notice it a lot. I don't stream super often, so I guess I didn't notice that it changed until I was doing my entire spiel and noticed, oh wait, I don't see the little bar that says I'm actually speaking. So anyway, my name is Siege Fairy. I'm starting up a new game, Torment, Tides of Numenera. I say new, it came out in 2017, so almost 10 years old. Yay. I've been excited to play this. I have played it a little bit, like maybe 20 or 30 minutes around the time when it first came out. And the reason I'm excited about it is because I like the idea of Numenera. I think there are problems with it. I think the design is a little bit wonky, but I think it's doing something that a lot of... I think it fits a niche that a lot of TTRPGs that I have not, that I've played don't really fill. It's sci-fi fantasy as opposed to just straight up fantasy or straight up sci-fi, which I love. Being able to play that, like, kind of a fantasy game with this kind of eerie tone of, like, this is set in the far future, and a lot of the quote-unquote magic that we're seeing is actually just abandoned or forgotten technology. But there's also, like, kind of legit magic as well. There's a lot of lore over Numenera. I think they're actually doing a Kickstarter now for like the 3rd or 4th iteration of Numenera. One thing that I really like about it is it simplifies a lot of... I'm bearing the lead. This is made by Money Cook Games. Money Cook, at least from my perspective, is best known for making the 3rd edition of Dungeons and Dragons, which is the edition that I more or less started with. So I have a lot of fondness for 3rd edition D&D. I have a lot of fondness for Monty Cook and his crew over at Monty Cook Games. So yeah, I really like that. I think they've simplified a lot of the like kerfuffliness, the tweakiness of Dungeons and Dragons, which honestly I think they overcomplicate. I like overcomplication, by the way, just to get that out of the way. I like complicated systems, but I think, and this may be heretical because I'm not a huge fan of Pathfinder, but I think Pathfinder is going in a right direction where they add more complication, but the complication adds useful, interesting choices to the system. Whereas like Dungeons and Dragons, they're overcomplicating things, but they're not really adding a lot of useful choices to the system. They're overcomplicating things for the sake of being overcomplicated, basically. But I was super excited because I started playing Numenera, I want to say 2015 or so a few years before this game came out. I've only really played one game to completion. My friend ran that, and I had 2 or 3 different characters over the course of that because I think I was still in a Dungeons and Dragons mindset, and that's really not what Numenera is. It's a very different kind of game. And I couldn't really settle on what I wanted to kind of do. The character that I ended up playing, I can't even remember her full shtick, like what her focus was. But her name was Goo. I loved her. She's great. But Yeah, I've tried running Numenera campaigns 2 or 3 times. Um, one of them you could argue saw completion, but it kind of fizzled out for a few reasons. It was always designed to be a short campaign, so I don't really consider that like a quote unquote failure. Um, it was a failure on my part for not doing certain things correctly. Basically, it was a pseudo, not really a mystery, but there was supposed to be a twist, and I didn't indicate the twist as much because I thought it would be cool for the players to discover the twist themselves, and I either didn't yes and enough, or I wasn't obvious enough, or something like that. Anyway, when the twist was revealed, I think they found it at the very end. It just kind of felt anticlimactic. Um, I'm not going to go into specifics on that because I really like the idea of the campaign, and I might try to revamp it at some point in time with a new group of people. Not that I expect any of my friends or anything to watch this video or whatever I'm going to do with this video. The other thing is that Torment, Tides of Numenera, it does have an entire source book in Numenera. I own it. I've skimmed through it. I've not read it in depth. And that's more of a setting detail. The tides themselves in the book, like in the TTRPG, is more vibey than anything else. I don't know if the tides in this game are more specific. I could see them because the thing with tides, as I understand them, are there like 3 or 4 different types of tides, maybe more like 6 or 10 or something. And basically, they are vibes. They are how you act and kind of like a karma system where if you act a certain way, you increase the amount of tides that are in you, right? The and karma is a little bit of a misnomer because usually whenever you think of karma, at least whenever I think of karma, I think of good or bad karma. That's not really the case here. There are a bunch of different types of tides. They're neither bad nor good. Um, they just are what they are. And like one of them could be charity, right? And the more charitable you are, the more you increase that kind of tide within yourself. Charity, you might think, is always a good thing. It's not. Charity is also just kind of like if you're a very charitable individual, you could very easily be duped. You may not be thinking of yourself all that much. Like there are good and bad signs of it. I think from what I remember, the book does a pretty good job of like trying to go into them. There's still like just the way words and language work. There's still like this tide is better than this tide, but that's not the dealio. Um, so it's possible with a CRPG like this, the more tides you have, like if you have that charity tide, and I don't even know if charity is a type of tide, if you increase the level of charity tide, that could unlock certain dispositions from certain NPCs. It could give you different options and dialogue, stuff like that. Maybe even give you different approaches to solving quests beyond just dialogue. So I think there's some potential for the tides to matter a lot more here, and that's not saying that you can't do something like that in a TTRPG. A GM can pretty much do anything that a video can do and more. The problem is that how easy is it? In the TTRPG, it's not systematized. It's kind of up to the DM to do all the work and heavy lifting and stuff to implement that kind of stuff. So I don't know. The other thing that is part of this is Torment, Tides of Numenera is a spiritual successor of Planescape Torment. Planescape Torment I own, at least the enhanced edition. I've once again similarly played like 10 or 20 minutes of it, so not very far. I don't even really know what Planescape Torment is. But this is a spiritual successor to it. Everything that I've seen is this is a decent follow-up. It's not fantastic. I think Planescape Torment does stuff better. Um, but we'll see. I found that reading reviews of things aren't really useful to me anymore. Maybe when I was younger and I had limited money to be able to buy video games and stuff like that, and I still have limited money. I'm not like super rich or anything, but I have enough that if I want a game, especially if I'm willing to wait for a Steam sale or something, it's not hard for me to be able to afford it. Um, and honestly, I find games that allow me more freedom in how to act and allow enough ambiguity that I can kind of insert whatever story I want, like whatever headcanon I want. I think I like those games the most. Like Baldur's Gate 3 did a decent job of that. I think Baldur's Gate 3 was better in that respect than the earlier Baldur's Gate games. I'm trying to think of other TTRPGs that have that. Neverwinter Nights 2 might have as well. Tyranny, which I do want to go back to. I was considering doing Tyranny as opposed to Torment because I've tried streaming Tyranny twice and I just fizzled out on both of those. But I played Tyranny all the way through once, so I kind of know the deal for most of it. It was 2016, so even before this game came out. So I probably don't remember the specifics as much. And I know Tyranny is a relatively short game. Like you can beat the entire for a CRPG, you can probably beat it and pretty much have done everything in about 30-ish hours, I think. Whereas most of the CRPGs that I'm used to are somewhere between 60 to 80 hours. And, you know, Baldur's Gate 3 took me 126 or 168 or something like that. So, yeah. One more thing before I begin. I did ask my friend, the friend who actually ran the Numenera game that I actually played all the way to the end, what kind of character I have. So I generally have a good idea of what I'm gonna do, like as far as character creation is. Not the specifics, but like the broad direction that I'm gonna go. But I'm open to change that if I feel something different. Yeah, I started doing the project that I've been excited to do ever since I started playing Baldur's Gate 1 like 2.5 years ago. It's on my website. It's basically a journal style let's play of my playthrough of Baldur's Gate. And I'm starting with Baldur's Gate 3. And then I'm going to do, once I finish all of Baldur's Gate 3, I'm probably going to do a flashback kind of prequel to my protagonist of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Spoilers, I guess, for Baldur's Gate 3. Ball shows up, at least in spirit. And my character in Baldur's Gate 2 basically became Ball. So I kind of want to go through their journey and have this be a pseudo-tragedy kind of deal. So we'll see what happens. But no, I'm excited for Torment, Tides of Numenera. I like the system. I have an affection for Monty Cook and Monty Cook Games studio. I think they do revisions a little bit too frequently for my taste. I think they pump out systems a little bit too much for my taste. And I guess I didn't go into it. The problem that I have with the system in general, the basic idea of Numenera, aside from the setting, but like all the Cypher system RPGs, is character creation is pretty easy. We'll run into this as I actually start again. You have 3 different things to define your character. You have a descriptor, which is basically an adjective. This gives you slight modifications and stuff. So, for example, if you decide to be stealthy, anything that's dex based, because you only have 3 stats, basically. You have I forget the exact names. We'll run it. I think it's speed, might, and intellect, or wits maybe instead of intellect. But basically, anything that you would expect would be speed related goes with speed. So dexterity, whether that is sneaking, whether that is picking a lock, whether that is dodging, is all related to speed. Might is constitution and strength, so like lifting a boulder, but also being able to take hits, and then and fend off disease and stuff like that. And then anything that is mental basically is under that intellect. So this includes being book smart. This includes being street smart. It includes being charismatic. So like in D&D terms, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma are all bound into a single stat. So descriptor is like a slight modification of something. So if you choose stealthy, maybe they'll say you're better at sneaking around, you're better at moving silently, but you're not as good at dodging or something. Like you're not as good at other sides of speed stuff. So instead of having this like just big old thing that you're good at everything speed, descriptor kind of lets you define that a little more, you know? But next bit is your type. Your type is basically your class. They've expanded the classes a little bit, the types a little bit, but I think in this game it's the basic three, and the basic three are wizard or nano, fighter or glaive, and then the last one is jack, which is a jack of all trades, which can be your rogue, it can be your bard, but you can also have it be like a dexterous fighter that has a little bit of access to magic. Like they are able to do pretty much anything. Is kind of the jack's entire shtick. They're not fantastic at anything, any one thing like a nano or a glaive would be, but they're generally good. 1 minute, someone's poking me on something. Okay, and then the last bit is your focus, and your focus is like something special that you have. This is like one of the coolest parts of Numenera, and it's hard to implement into a video game. I don't think there's a lot of focuses in this video game specifically. I think it's only like 3 or 4. But the basic thing is that like, what is something super special about you? And these can be super mundane. Like you can wield 2 weapons. What's your entire shtick? You just wield 2 weapons. That's it. But it can also be something like you control flames, where you have a lot of flame-based power. And some of these are like in a direction where it's like if you have a lot of flame-based power, maybe you want to be a nano so that you can kind of integrate that with some of your spell casting kind of shtick. But not necessarily. Like you can be a flame-wielding glaive, so you can like cover your sword in flames and like slash through people and do extra fire damage and stuff like that, which I think is really cool because the entire character creation, obviously there's a lot of specifics in there as you level up, You get different abilities. Some of them kind of veer off topic a little bit. Some of the focuses specifically end up being more conceptual, whereas at the beginning they're more like very like practical or literal. Um, but yeah, the entire idea of creation is you are a descriptor, noun, who, verbs. That's it. So if you wanna, if you have, if you want to run a one shot with someone, or you just want to get people into the game, just say, okay, what kind of person do you want to be? You want to be a fighter? Cool, we get that. You're a glaive. What is an adjective that you want your glaive to be? Kind? Okay, we can find the kind descriptor or something similar to a kind descriptor, and we can give that to your fighter. That modifies a bunch of things. Now, what's something cool that you want to do? You want to breathe life into death or something like that. Cool. We can figure out how to make that work, right? But a problem that I have with the game is they have something called ciphers. That's what the entire system is named after, ciphers. And the concept of it is fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it works for every setting like they've kind of been forcing it into. Is you find items in Numenera, they're abandoned technology, and they have magical or weird effects. These are the equivalent of spells that you would see in Dungeons and Dragons. Some of them are just more or less copy-pasted from Dungeons and Dragons 3rd edition. And the idea is that, like, for example, and this tells you when it was made, when Samsung phone batteries would explode, you could be like, oh, I found something that I can use as a bomb. Maybe it's not like a bomb. Maybe it's a Samsung phone that would explode. You just don't know what it's for, and you're using it as a bomb instead. That, I think, is super cool. The problem with that is that they added a limiting mechanic to it. Like, if you carry too many of these things, you just can't mechanic-wise. But, like, I think the general idea is that it there's, like, radiation or something that's kind of pulling out of it or something, and if you're not accustomed to it yet, and you get more accustomed as you level up, which increases the number of ciphers that you can carry, etc., you just can't carry that much. And it's the mechanic is there to prevent you from hoarding things and only using things when they're appropriate or when they're best to be used. But and they give you this limitation so that you're constantly cycling things out. And the idea is, at least the idea I understand it to be, is you are constantly running into a bunch of issues that you may need to solve, either a combat or issue or some kind of obstacle that you want to get over, stuff like that. And you have access to, like, these ciphers, these spell-like abilities or whatever. You can only use once most of the time. How are you going to use the tools at your disposal in creative ways to get over this issue or to fight this combat, etc., etc.? And I don't think that's a bad idea in any way. The biggest problem that I have with it is there's a lot of bookkeeping. And that bookkeeping, whenever you're trying to play the game normally, it slows down the game a ton. Instead of having a good idea, like, instead of just being able to swap out your ciphers and stuff, granted, most of the times that I've played this has been, like, online, and it's just, we don't have cards set up. Someone's like, this is what you get, and you have to, like, copy paste it from a text chat into a character sheet or a text sheet or something like that. And it's just, like, especially if the cipher does something more complicated, like, if you have, like, the equivalent of, like, an ice wand that does a little bit of ice damage, you can very easily put that in and be like, does 1d6 ice damage? And you know what it does. And whenever it comes up to figure out, you could be like, oh, this does ice damage. That means presumably it can make ice, so maybe I can use a cipher to put ice on the ground or something like that instead of just doing damage. But if it's something like, oh, it teleports X amount of people, X distance, stuff like that, it's a little bit more complicated. You have to put all that stuff in there. And then if you get even more complicated, it's just a lot of bookkeeping, and I hate it. They have made like decks of ciphers, which make randomizing it a lot easier. You can just kind of shuffle a deck and deal stuff out to people, which is cool. But that's an extra amount of money. That's an extra amount of money that you have to buy for the deck. If you want to buy stuff on tabletop, you have to assume that the tabletop actually owns, is built for those kind of decks. Like, those are implemented into the system. I tried making my own deck using cards and like Roll20, and it's a lot. It takes a lot of time to do that. And I even tried to do it like smartly. And it was just a pain. But oh man, someone's still bugging me. I mean, affectionately bugging me. So yeah, the bookkeeping is kind of a pain to deal with. I wish there was a smarter way to do it. Or a more streamlined way to do it, but I don't know if there is. The only thing I can think of kind of ruins part of the reason that you want it. Like, for example, just something I'm thinking off the top of my head is that you have like 10 or 12 different kinds of ciphers that this character can find or knows how to use or something like that. And they're constantly cycling out. The GM, whenever they give you a cipher, it's one of those 12. So you just have those 12 like built out in your character sheet or whatever. And but that defeats the purpose of having completely random stuff. But yeah. So that's enough TTRPG talk. I've talked for 30 minutes while on the starting screen. So we'll go ahead and start. We'll play for a few hours. There's a few things that I think I'm looking forward to. There's a reason I'm starting now and not later on. There's a few things that I need to do later on today. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. If this is something that I want to get to the point eventually where I feel like I can do this stuff during the weekday. Like, I do work and then I do whatever I'm going to do, and then I have a few hours at night some days a week that I can just kind of log on. I did that a little bit in Baldur's Gate 3, and that was because I was obsessed with a specific combat problem or story beat or something like that. I want to try and get better at carving out that time. Not necessarily for this. There's a lot of projects that I have on my mind that I want to be able to do. But I want to be able to carve out that time to be able to do some of those projects and to be able to have fun like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I said, I did play it 9 years ago for like 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. Um, but I don't remember the specifics. I do know the general systems of Numenera though.
Your
Okay.
mind wakes in darkness. Aching cold sets into an unfamiliar body. A distant howling surrounds you, louder with each passing second. Insistent and invisible hands slap and tear at the membrane that protects you. Your first emotion is an involuntary and formless panic. You feel you have forgotten something important, as if it once meant the world to you, but the details slip away as you grasp at them.
Okay, so once again, starting with amnesia, always a classic.
Your eyes open.
Yeah, let's look around.
A white-pink fleshy cocoon surrounds you. Even as you look, a minor rent in its side tears open, and the howling wind forces its way inside.
Okay, so I'm in a cocoon that broke open.
The cocoon rips away, gone before you can grab it, spinning you into a dizzying tumble. You are falling, the world many kilometers beneath you. You catch a glimpse of a curved horizon, and also the ground beneath you that is approaching deceptively quickly. Above you, a small moon is slowly collapsing in upon itself. A corona of acid green and black energy playing around its edges.
This is very eerily similar to Baldur's Gate 3 opening.
The wind buffets you and burns your eyes, but you don't need to see the details of the faraway ground to know you're in serious trouble. You won't survive a fall from this stratospheric height. A part of your frantic mind babbles that technically you probably fell from a thermospheric height. You struggle to stay focused as the ground rushes toward you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if I'm falling to the ground, I'm gonna die. I might as well get a pretty sight, right?
You are spinning too rapidly to get a good look. You can see a large landmass, a vast body of water directly below you, and scattered archipelagos. But the detail eludes you. A deep black night is above you, its nocturnal clarity disappearing as the haze of atmosphere envelops you.
Okay, I guess I might as well try and lay flat. Maybe I won't die completely.
You spread your arms and legs, and they respond smoothly. A strange sensation. Since you realize this body is new to you, the spinning and tumbling stops. The wind still howls past your new ears, a vast roar that deadens a part of your infant mind. Water springs unbidden to your eyes, the tears torn away by the wind. Through the haze of moisture, it is difficult to see, but if you focus your attention, you may be able to make out the details of the world.
Okay, you know what? I'm more interested in what happened. Try to remember.
You don't seem to have any other option. You close your eyes to the world below you. Ignore the rushing of the wind past you, and concentrate. You remember that you were in the hallways of a place that wove itself through your blood, through your thoughts. The memories project themselves in your mind, a story told to you as if they happened to someone else. Yet it was your body that walked those halls, your lungs that breathed that air. You were running because something was hunting you, a nightmare far more powerful than you. Were you powerful? Examining your stolen memory, you know that you were. What could have stood against you? Who wielded instruments of flame and time itself? The name is on the tip of your tongue.
So I was powerful, but now I don't have any memory. I'm stealing memories from something?
You were. Who were you?
Yeah, who was I? I'm dying anyway. I might as well figure out who I was before I hit the ground.
You somehow managed to sidestep everything you know about anatomy, physics, and death, and you were surprised to realize that you do know something about them. You survived this fall. You suspect that you might be able to reawaken a dormant strength you sense inside you. But who could possibly survive a fall from this height?
I can.
You remember reaching an escape tube, and you remember being struck by a tendril of force, and then the fall. The fall. You open open your eyes in time to see a riot of color around you. Your descent barely slowed, and then agony flares throughout your body as a crunching impact destroys you. The last thing you hear is a rapidly cycling line of energy, and then darkness.
So I hit the ground and died. Right?
Yes.
Okay, I don't even get a voice. Choice. Jumbled thoughts cloud your head as you study the empty bowl before you. Drops of liquid fall from the ceiling, splattering on the ground next to the bowl. Light from every drop is reflected in the bowl's rounded hollow, as if it hungers for the light and needs to be filled, yet the bowl remains dry. Another drop falls from the ceiling and splashes from the pylons, wasted. Let's examine the bowl before I just fill it with light. You trace your fingers over the slippery, overlapping scales that spiral up from the bottom of the bowl. The sharp-toothed rim plucks at your skin. It's going to be tricky to move this bowl without slicing your fingers on the edge. You might have to put some effort into it. Reflected light streaks across the surface of the bowl as another drop falls from the ceiling. So I might be taking damage, but let's try and move it. So might being the equivalent of like strength and constitution. Of course, pushing a heavy bowl is going to be that. You've encountered the first task. You have 3 stat pools: might, speed, and intellect, that you can spend to increase the chances of your success. This is called effort. To more easily move the bowl in front of you, you use might to. You can use might for higher level effort. Don't worry if you fail this task. In Torment, failure often results in interesting outcomes. So basically, the idea here is I spend more pool from my might, and you can see here is how much might I have. This is my percent chance. So base difficulty is 45%. Because I've investigated the bowl, I have an extra 15%. I think this is probably a D20. That's the dice that Numenera uses. So 45 is a 9+. Yeah, 9+. Getting an extra 15% moves it up to 60. So rolling a 12 or high, or rolling an 8 or higher on a D20, I succeed. But if I use effort, so basically I preemptively take might damage. It's not really damage, it's more like straining myself to push a little bit harder. Then I increase more of what I do. This is a little bit different. Effort doesn't work. I mean, effort works this way, but it looks like the mechanics are, the specific mechanics, the numbers and stuff are a little bit off from how the tabletop does it. But basically the idea is I'm expending effort to increase my chance to succeed. I'm making it easier for myself. So I'm going to go without taking effort, and we'll see how I do and what kind of damage I take. I succeed anyway, so I saved myself some costs. Success. You carefully take hold of the bowl, avoiding the teeth on the serrated rim. With a deep breath, you move it across the glowing pool of fallen light. Love that animation. And now it's getting like liquid light within it. Drop by drop, the bowl fills, ripples spreading over the blurred outline of your reflection. A pale blue luminescence stretches into the corners of the room. A clear radiance spills across the segmented floor, washing away the nearest shadows and pouring into your mind, melting the ragged edges of your fragmented thoughts. You are not whole, not yet, but you have begun to heal from the damage done in your long fall. A voice calls out from somewhere high above, beyond the reaches of the spreading light. Hello, are you still alive down there? We're up here. Okay. So
On it.
let me interact with this. Let's overturn the bowl. When you touch it, you feel a strange tightness in your head and soon discover that the bowl is far too heavy to move now. Even the attempt makes your arms ache and temples throb. Okay. So, that could just be the liquid. Liquid is very, very heavy, especially in that high concentration. But it could be that that light, whatever it is very,
Yes.
very dense. You can interact with whatever this is. As soon as you touch the orb, a memory floods your mind. You stand in front of a rusted door. The air is humid and dank. You've had a moment's respite from this waterlogged hell, a bubble of stale air, your resting point. You've breathed water before, and you've lived decades beneath the waves, but this body's an air breather, and the constant pressure has been crushing you ever so subtly. Worse, your companion's mind seems to be wandering from the task at hand. He's a genius with machines, as you well know, but now he seems distracted. The device in his hands is covered in knobs, wires, and antennas. He believes it can get the two of you through the corroded door, but he's merely staring at it. Perhaps he's lost faith in his invention, but that is hardly your concern. This mission cannot be delayed. It must proceed. Okay, so this is a memory that I'm interacting with? Okay. I'm assuming this is kind of like character creation, however I act. Threatening is not going to be good. He is someone that knows this stuff, so I'm just going to try and encourage him a little bit to do anything. And trust that he knows, like, he's able to do stuff. Your words echo clearly, and he looks up, surprised, as you cut through his indecisive daze. He grimaces and says, "All right, we'll be through the door before they catch up." His fingers make minute adjustments to the knobs and blinking levers of the device, and the stale air of your bubble freshens as the door swings open. A dark hallway lies beyond, a passage that links the waterboarded cells and the aquatic viewing areas. What you seek lies there. Moments later, you're underwater again, with your hands closing around a strange yet familiar artifact. You need it to complete something. It hovers above a pedestal, rotating in the dark water. An electric current runs through your fingers as your hand crosses the vertical plane on the pedestal, and an iridescent field coalesces so fast that the wave of pressure dazes you for a moment. The rising pulse of a sonar alarm ripples through the water. The guards won't be far behind. I mean, the sonar pulse, like, the guards are already coming. Run, you can come back for it. They won't be able to protect it forever. Let's use a device to stop it. Because I need the artifact, and I don't want to just abandon it here. Okay, so it's some sort of defense. Let's try and stop them. You run urgent fingers over the devices fastened to your waist, a fog rising in your mind. A few can be used against the guards, but will also turn your skin to synth steel, or the surrounding water to boiling wax. Hardly ideal. Wait. Okay. Finally, you find a small silver sphere. Setting the sphere in place, you kick desperately for the safety of a nearby alcove. The sphere whirls and unfolds into a spiraling vortex. The sphere at its center speaks a few polite words in an ancient language. then begins draining the surrounding water into itself at alarming speed. The approaching guards shout, then scream as they too are sucked into the whirlpool and ripped to pieces. You allow yourself a fleeting smile, but are all too aware that more alarms are going off in the distance. Okay, so I managed to take care of these guards, but more guards are going to be coming soon. More reinforcements. The memory begins to fade as if you are being drawn backward through a tunnel, and you hear more pylons rising from the pit. Something is wrong. The events within the orb have settled into that gap in your mind, but the edges of it are rough, as though the memory itself is not truly yours. There's something else, a gust of sour air pulling at you, like a predator inhaling the scent of its prey in the far end of a dark, whispering field. I mean, if my character creation is basically just doing this, like making choices and stuff, I'm okay with accepting whatever comes out of the end of it, instead of whatever my friend suggested I do it. I don't have any items, and I don't have any character abilities yet. The light around the door's frame dims and flares like a roaring fire in a high wind. Mira looks strange, as though what you see in it is real and you're the reflection. I can't even get over there. Countless scratches and wounds mar the surface of the door. Someone made a great effort to get inside, to no avail. No sign or symbol tells you what might be behind this enormous door. A dull chill radiates from its bronze segmented surface, and the thick metal wheel seems frozen in place. Huh. Maybe I interact... Yeah, I interact with this orb. Okay. Stand beside a woman on a verdant crag. Beneath the two of you is a broad plateau towering above the overgrowth far below. Strange machines have been built into the cliffside, presumably for reconnaissance or defense. A metallic disc gleams from the center of the plateau. Your self-aware humanoid machines drill into the base of the cliffs below. If you're looking for a sanctuary, and you were, desperately, this seems like the right place. Okay, so I'm next to a woman. There's an overgrowth and there's a strange machine building into a cliffside. And it looks like I'm trying to use this for a sanctuary. Okay. I don't know about this, the woman says, her voice flat, neutral. Her face is turned away from you. What makes this place any more secure than the other ones we found? Convince her with the wisdom of my superior intellect. I don't know if I like the way these options are written. I mean, this could just be character creation, or it's very obviously pushing you in one direction or another. Draw her to the hidden details that your more experienced eye can clearly see. I prefer that as opposed to just kind of like shifting her opinion without anything other than my words, or just being like, I'm a smarty pants. Okay. You shade your eyes against the bright sun so that you can point out the thin bands radiating out from the metallic disc. How the energy... Wait, you shade your eyes so you can point out the thin bands radiating out from the metallic disc. How the energy from those bands affect the local fauna, suggesting an enormous source of prior world energy. She thinks deeply. It's geologically sound. Have you run the sounding samples and checked the strata? No major caverns or weakness showed up on your resonance scans? She waits for your affirmation and says, "All right, I'm convinced." The two of you sketch your plans for the sanctuary, drawing schematics and architectural diagrams. Then you descend onto the plateau to examine the open ground. The woman suggests having one of the servitors build a shelter for your time here. You try to draw one of the constructs away from its task, but it doesn't respond to your voice. When you lay a hand on its shoulder to reinforce your command, it whirls and strikes you across the face with inhuman speed. It turns back to its task, ignoring you. Your companion helps you rise, laughter in her eyes. It seems your construct has other ideas. What's the matter with it? Huh. I'd probably... Like, it's probably due to the metallic disc. I don't want to just overwhelm it. I do want to examine the construct for mechanical faults. I think that's probably the most logical path forward. Everything resolves into sharp focus, and you see that the servitor's rear actuators are corrupted. You dig into the construct's back. It seems not to mind as long as you don't interfere with its task. Deftly, you reset the actuators and see energy spark in the disused portions of the construct's brain. The construct resumes its work, but this time it listens when you speak to it. Acknowledged. It obediently trundles to the side of your new shelter. The image freezes, then fades, and you feel the memory filling the gap in your mind, blocked by jagged block. You stagger, clutching your head, reclaiming your memories hurts. And once more, there's something else. Hairs lift, one by one, on the back of your neck. Something beyond this room can sense what you're doing, and it is hunting you. Wait. So, something in the real world is actually trying to come after me. I don't like that. As I'm, like, reclaiming bits and pieces of whoever I was. Yeah, I don't like that.
Let's go.
Alright. A vision of a city springs up around you, your city, in flames and under attack. Your defenders have fought and died all day, and still the attackers keep coming. They fight as if your destruction were demanded of them. They care nothing for mercy, surrender, or plunder. What they want is blood. But you have brought a keen-eyed companion to the top of the tower. She has seen the way to stop the invaders. You need to get her to safety, and you need to rally her defenders. But even as you turn toward the door of the tower, two of the attackers descend from a hovering machine. You don't have time to strike at them before they land. One is brutishly large, his weapon a vibrating axe. The other is slim, sheathed in glassy armor, and holding a hilt with a sizzling, invisible blade. Your companion backs away. She's too young to help. Your enemy's advanced single file, confined by the parapet. Okay. Okay, so I have a companion that can rescue us, basically, stop the attack. And I need to get her somewhere. But two attackers, one big, huge, barbarian-looking guy, and one kind of duelist are here. Companion can't do anything. I have to do stuff. So either I can go toe-to-toe with the giant, I can duck under his swing and attack before I can strike, so doing kind of assassin move myself, or I can fight defensively and figure out which of the two is a bigger threat. Shoot. The thing is that I think the duelist is probably going to be a bigger threat. At least to the continued survival of my companion. So it's between 2 and 3. Either finish off the giant quickly so that I can refocus onto the duelist, or hold my ground to try and hold both of them back. I think holding my ground, I can easily get overwhelmed, so I'm gonna go after like just striking at the giant and taking like getting rid of him as quickly as possible. I think that's the best way forward. You roll under the blurring arc of his axe. He's overconfident, testing you without committing to the attack. Yes, he's fast, but not as fast as you are. When he raises the great axe above his head to finish you, you're able to bury your blade under his breastplate. The blade emerges from the back of his neck, and his life's blood washes over your hands. He falls, taking your weapon with him, and his companion attacks. Her invisible blade is far more lethal, yeah, I figured that, than the giant's axe. You duck as she thrusts at you, and the wall behind you hisses, destroyed. Her turn swing cuts through your armor, ruining your breastplate. She doesn't have to be skilled with a weapon like this. She just has to make contact. You time your attack just as she pulls it back for another strike. You barrel into her, driving her over the wall, and she drops screaming to the ground 50 meters below. It's 150 feet or more. Well, more than that, but... The immediate threat ended. You focus on finding a way back to your allies. You open the tower door and rush down the stairs. The door at the base of the stairs is slightly cracked, opening just a bit into the hall. You hear more of the enemy soldiers beyond. Hurl yourself against the door and knock them to the ground. Crack the door open to sneak past them, or charge through them, counting on your defenses to protect you. I think sneaking is probably better. You press yourself against the gleaming door, easing it open, and your breath catches in your throat as it squeaks quietly. The sound like a bell in your memory. You pause, but the soldiers in the hall continue to talk. You push again, squeeze yourself through the narrow opening, and creep down the blood-stained hall. What happened to my companion? The memory begins to fade, and you find yourself back in your own body. Your temples throb with the racing force of your heartbeat, and the reclaimed memories blaze within you, like a bonfire on a mountain peak, visible to every predator for kilometers around. A tremor rocks the floor beneath you as though a massive fist has struck the room itself. Swaying on your feet, you see a frantic movement within the borders of a mirror at the edge of the room. Okay, it looks like I can get to
Let's go.
the mirror, and presumably that'll be like visual character creation. The border of this mirror is lavishly decorated with a dizzying number of interlocked symbols, daggers, masks, paintbrushes, amulets, and more. That's nothing compared to what you see in the glass. You see a vast crowd of people, exact doppelgangers of you, shoving, arguing with, and fighting each other. Most are drab imitations of you, but a precious few are vivid and pull at your attention. Each of them bears an intricate pentagonal tattoo on their head. In their eyes, their actions, you see the memories you discovered within the orbs and the choices you made, shining like distant stars. Your hand twitches at your side, and though some of the bright doppelgangers ignore you, an even smaller number immediately turn to you, waiting for you to choose them and learn what you might become. A rumble shakes the room, and a slow vibration spreads from the darkness below, rippling toward this ceiling. Okay. So some of these are people that I'm choosing to be. Point the doppelganger, moving cautiously through the crowd with clever eyes, tinkering with a mechanical device, or moving stealthily through the crowd. I don't think cautious or mechanical device would be good. They can either be clever or stealthy. I think I'm going to go with a clever playthrough. I've been playing dumbasses a lot in Baldur's Gate, so I want to try and play someone a little bit smarter. So let's go with the clever eyes. The doppelganger makes its way over to you. It's about to speak when a thuggish figure charges out of the crowd and shakes his knife in the doppelganger's face. Speaking in your voice, the doppelganger raises a calming hand, appealing to the thug's better nature with a combination of disarming wit and outright lies. Scowling, the thug lowers his knife and apologizes to the doppelganger for the trouble. Doppelganger turns to you, waiting for your decision. Yeah. The remaining doppelgangers scatter for the edges of the mirror and vanish. Your chosen identity steps forward. Its appearance changes as it steps out of the rippling glass. Its face reflects confidence and cleverness. Shadows of weapons flicker in and out of its hand, and a few devices shimmer on its belt. You get the feeling you, would be more comfortable in a variety of situations. The word Jack sounds in your mind, so clever. Jack, probably. The doppelganger continues walking, stepping into you, filling you, making you whole. Your decisions ring out in the cavernous room, awakening and unlocking vast mechanisms behind the walls. Suddenly, a grotesque noise rings through your shared words, like a bell if bells could rot. Something is coming. The mirror fades, leaving a dark, open doorway. You take a deep breath and step through. Okay, character creation. Your choices and memories of the mirror have begun to build your character, but now you have the opportunity to decide on a number of details. First, you can decide your type. Type defines the abilities and skills you'll be able to acquire as you advance. Okay, so I was actually going to be... my friend suggested I be a graceful Jack. So I did get Jack, but clever Jack. Okay. So, looking at what I have now, I can choose to be Glaive, I can choose Jack or Nano. Okay, so the thing with Jacks are, like I said, Jack of all trades, hence the name, although the word also harkens back to fables involving a wily, resourceful hero who always seems to be named Jack, like Jack and the Beanstalk. Jacks are at their best when they combine weapons, armor, esoteric ciphers, and a clever tongue. Treasure hunters, grifters, skalds, rogues, and experts in a variety of fields. The one thing that I do have is a flex skill. Choose one exploration, lore, or conversational skill, plus one training level in that skill while active. So once per day, I can just get a +1. So what I have here is an ability, which is I can't use heavy weapons that well. So like two-handed weapons and stuff. An ability on lore machinery, so that means anything that involves machines I'm just not going to be fantastic at. And the same thing with mystical, but I do have trained in deception. So, and those 15% is a +3 on the 15% is a +3 on whatchamacallits. I don't actually remember if hit points are part of Numenera's system or not. I don't think it is. I think they just have the pools of might, speed, and intellect. So it looks like the game has kind of moved health into its own thing, and then you have might, speed, and intellect. When a companion falls, they are knocked unconscious, they are revived and healed. Crisis ends, or you move to a new area. If they aren't healed, they receive a lasting damage fettle. I don't even know what a fettle is. Okay, so features. 4 points distribute to any pool, so I can put those wherever. +3 health at tier 1, +6 health at later tiers. Gain 2 abilities at tier 1, gain 1 ability at each later tier. Can pick 1 exploration skill at each tier. Okay, so we're going to go with Jack. Character creation. Yeah, Jack, being a jack of all trades, kind of want everything. So I can, I'm okay increasing speed. I'm gonna leave might where it is. So very intelligent, somewhat speedy. Yeah, this is a very different type of Very different type of system. They translate a lot of things from the TTRPG. Abilities unlocked by your type can be active actions, such as attacks or spell-like esoteries, or unique passive effects. So I get 2 abilities. Practice in armor lets me wear armor, whereas trained without armor lets me not, like, get bonuses if I'm not wearing armor. Infused weapon, you choose a damage type and make a weapon attack. Deal weapon damage of the chosen type along with a bonus effect based on the type. Hedge magic, automatically succeed on the next quick fingers or smashing task. Wait. Automatically succeed? Interesting. Sucker punch. Okay. So I think I'm going to go trained without armor. I get 2 of these. Yeah, I get 2 of these. Oh, okay. It does cost. I don't want you. Okay. Trained without armor. Yep. And if I get this, it costs 2 intellect, but I automatically succeed on the next quick fingers or smashing task. So it's basically, hedge magic is the equivalent of like prestidigitation in Dungeons and Dragons. This, it costs 1 intellect, so I can use this a little bit more often. Let's go with hedge magic. So train without armor and hedge magic. Most skills increase your chance of success on specific kinds of actions and tasks, but some give other passive bonuses. Each skill start at the novice level and can be increased to trained and specialized, granting greater bonuses at each level. Trained is +3, specialized is +6. Scripters often leave some skills at the inability level, means that they inflict penalties. When upgraded, these return to the novice level. So like if I get this, I just remove the novice, basically. I don't want that. Okay. So I get one thing that I can do. I don't necessarily need quick fingers and smashing because I have hedge magic. Perception would be good. Deception I'm already good at. Concentration. Bonded artifacts equipped to the first slot do not. Oh, this concentration mitigates penalties for bonded artifacts. And what is this? Last cast off can access the memories of previous consciousness. This skill represents your focus and acumen when attempting to recall these. Cipher use. Yeah, so here we go. All ciphers emit, ooze, or pulsate with strange energies and secretions. Without proper care and identification, storing too many together can cause catastrophic reactions. With training, you can learn to safely store. So I have to... I can increase this by 2. Or every level I have increases this by 2. This increases health. Lore, natural, persuasion. I think perception is what I want to go with. And I don't have weapon skill because only glaives have that. Although you chose your descriptor from among the many doppelgangers in the mirror, you now have the chance to view specific bonuses and penalties it grants. You can also examine the effects of other descriptors and choose a new one if you like. I mean, I chose clever based on everything that came in there. I could go graceful if I want. I wish that they had given that choice earlier, because I don't want to have to go back and redo everything, but I'm okay being clever. Whereas graceful would increase quick fingers and perception, but decrease smashing and yeah. I'm okay with this. Let us confirm. Oh, the heavy weapons. Maybe that's a jack thing and not a descriptor thing. Yeah, sure. Let's go! Let's go, baby! Everything about the spectral figure seems dreamlike. He's a hazy silhouette who seems to be made of blue glass smoke. Wears stylish, well-cut clothes. His handsome, bearded face seems hauntingly familiar, though you've never seen him before. He breathes a sigh of relief when he sees you. We weren't sure that would work. We pulled our strength and channeled it through me to reach you, to wake you up. He glances at the other figures here and frowns unhappily. It took more out of them than we thought. The other reflections, they're more like shadows now. Look, I'll bet you have a lot of questions. This whole place is basically your mind. Your body's still out there in the real world, healing from that fall. You need to get out there and finish the process. It shouldn't be too hard. Who are you? He pauses and looks down at himself, considering a long time before answering. I'm you. I'm a part of your mind. A splinter. I was waiting here for you. We called you with the memories of the others who are here. I don't know what happened next. Before I met you, it felt like something was hunting me. Do you know what it was? He closes his eyes. That's a memory I don't want to recall. Large, black, furious. It's our death. It's the sorrow. He closes his eyes. I hope it's lost interest in you. If it finds us, we're done for. You said I had to finish a process. What do you mean by that? After you wake up from this dream state and attune to the tides, you'll need to find something called a resonance chamber. Your body should have landed somewhere near it. Just climb inside, and everything will be fine. What do you mean attune? What do you mean attune to the tides? Tides are like a force, like gravity or magnetism or something, except they respond to people's actions and perceptions. Your body, that is, your body in the real world, needs the tides to survive. It's not something you need to worry about. Your body will attune as it wakes up. What's a resonance chamber? I remember pieces about it, but not the whole. It's a crystal sarcophagus. I remember it having 5 mechanical arms around it and a metal ring set in the floor. I think we were aiming for it when we fell. When you open your eyes in the real world, it should be nearby. How do you know all this? He throws up his hands in frustration. I'm just a part of you. I look at you and I know this place was made for you, for us. And I remember pieces of knowledge that come to me when you ask your questions, but that's all. This place is my mind. Why don't I remember any of this, any of you? It's your mind. A construct built to, I don't know, share thoughts, store your true self. Wait, you know how people say, in the first place? This is definitely the first place of your memory. Well, it was the first place for me anyway. You probably know better since it's yours. If you don't remember now, maybe it'll come to you later. So how do I get back to the real world? There's a portal down there. It'll take you back to your body. Just step through it, and the whole tides thing should take care of itself. He crosses his arms. When you wake up, find the resonance chamber and activate it. Then we can... What in the hell is that? I don't like whatever that is. Gods, it's the sorrow. Sorry, I showed emotion there for a bit. The sorrow is anchored to those reflections. It is devouring their power. We have to get rid of them, destroy its anchors, or else the sorrow will erase us forever. Okay. So this is like a combat tutorial. Crisis begins when you enter into a dangerous situation. Crises are turn-based encounters where you can fight, sneak, manipulate the environment, or talk your way out of trouble. Each turn you can take one action to attack or activate an ability. You can also make one move. Oh, I have to kill my own reflections? Wait, what? What the? It's escaping. You're gonna have to... It's going to hide inside your mind.
Let's go.
No! God damn it! Attack! I... Okay, the UI for this is really bullshit. Effort can be applied to attacks to increase your chance to hit. As with other tasks, each level of effort increases your chance by 20%. Cost of 1 point from a stat pool. Unarmed attacks use speed, but other weapons and abilities may use might or intellect instead.
I missed.
Great! So I wasted a point of might and missed anyway. Or speed. You've already used your action, but you'll need to wait your next turn. Deal with another reflection. You can move somewhere.
Ready.
Stop! The UI for the... Like, there's no confirmation or anything. Great. Now run. Get to the next one. I don't care. Yes. I don't even know if these do anything. It let you live. I don't understand, and I don't know where his pieces went, but I know. He shakes his head. Those things are going to grow like a cancer, an infection. He holds his hand in his hands. I can't believe it found us in here. He looks at you, terror in his eyes. That thing, the sorrow, it's been hunting you. It's what killed you in the first place. It'll keep hunting you until you activate the resonance chamber. I didn't remember until I saw it. But that's why the chamber is so important. You have to get back and activate the chamber before it's too late. The portal to your body is that shimmering dome. Go now.
Let's go.
Okay. Someone tells you to take care of unfinished business. Okay.
Where did she fall from? Her body's smashed to talk. It's a wonder she's still breathing.
All I saw was the corona, not her origin point. But look, she's healing already. Spontaneous regeneration.
That's right, we are. What was that? What did you do, Calistige? His tone has become accusatory, suspicious. You open your eyes. The first thing you notice is this man's kaleidoscope of tattoos, writhing across his forearms. He wears a long, dark coat, belted at the waist, supplies filling the pockets. His boots are worn and stained with years of travel. You blame me? She emitted an eternal physiological reaction in response to the fall. Probably related to that fantastic healing process. Obviously, allergen. Her voice rolls and hisses, and you have to rub your eyes to make sure that you're not seeing double. Faint echoes of her actions trail from her, each nearly mimicking her. Though some act and react to stimuli that you can't perceive, her vivid hair and outrageous clothing remain constant throughout these shadows. Oh yes, it's obvious, Calistige. His voice is grim and clipped, though he sees you looking at him. You're no ordinary mortal. We know that much. Start talking. His face is hard and set. Who are you? If you don't remember who I am, you're more self-centered than I ever imagined. You know she's not the changing god, Eligern. It's her face. I've never seen any other people rebuild themselves like that. Only the changing god could have healed so quickly. He sighs and rubs his face, trying to regain his composure. Maybe you can help me for a change. You know what this means to me. You're familiar with the word changing, Eligern. It implies inconstancy. Thus, the changing god may well have changed. Several versions of her shrug, and she addresses you. You'll have to forgive him. He believes you're someone he once knew, even though it's painfully obvious to anyone that you are newly born. Her most solid self curtsies, while others bow or spin. I and my sisters am Calistige, and this is Eligern. We're explorers, knowledge seekers. That's how we came to be in this room. If I'm not mistaken, you are what we call a cast-off. The changing god created you, body and mind. Your sire used your body for a time and then abandoned it for reasons of his own. When his mind departed for a new experience, you were born in his cast-off shell. Who is the changing god? Ha! That's something coming from you. She gives him a sidelong glance. The changing god is your sire, dear. He discovered a path to immortality long ago, a means to transfer his self to a new body of his own creation. I don't think he knew, however, that when he abandoned one body, another mind was birthed to fill the void. Oh, he knew all right. He eyes you up and down coldly. The only thing the changing god cares about is himself. He doesn't give a single thought for those he leaves behind. Are there other cast-offs? Dozens, hundreds, who can say? Your sire has been doing this for several centuries. Well, if all of them were born the way you claim to have been, it's a wonder any of them survive. Where are we? What is this place? A sanctum of your sires. The common belief is that he has several such places throughout the Ninth World, possibly other worlds as well. We were only just able to gain entry to this one because of your grand entrance. So it's called the Ninth World because there were 8 previous worlds that like collapsed, had an apocalyptic scenario, and then built up again, and then another apocalyptic scenario, and we are presumably in the fiction of Numenera living in one of those worlds, one of those prior worlds. So eventually, whatever society humanity has will collapse. There's a little bit of information, not a lot, but like one previous world had space travel, another previous world had like dimensional stuff. So, you know, they've all gotten super technologically advanced, or at least most of them have, or some of them have anyway. And that's why some of the technology that we run into is very, very advanced and can seem like magic. And that's why it's kind of iffy whether there's actual magic or if it's literally just really advanced technology that, like, we, like us as humans right now, not characters in the game, can understand, let alone relatively technologically primitive people like there are in the game. So, like, most of the quote-unquote magical effects are done via, I forget what it's called, it's like the winds or something, that nanos can access into, where there's, like, little tiny nanites everywhere. That's why they're called nanos. Just, like, basically a bunch of... Think of it like we're living in the Matrix, kind of, but with little tiny nanites making these effects instead of actually being in a virtual reality. So you said I was born when the changing god left, but why am I not dead? I used Decipher to slow your fall further, but the damage still would have killed an ordinary person. But think about it. If you're the kind of person who can make your body into anything you want, what do? If you constructed bodies for centuries, you want to make each one better than the last. You want to live forever, you're not going to let your life end by accident. No, you'll make strong bodies, fast, powerful. Maybe throw in regeneration while you're at it. I really wish that the portrait would change to someone else when they're speaking. The changing god has always been vain. He rarely stays long in a shell that doesn't suit his self-image. She looks you up and down, and her smile suddenly unnerving. Perhaps the changing god fled because he didn't want to wear those scars of yours. The changing god abandoned my body. Where is he now? If he abandoned your body, then his consciousness fled to another. He eyes you keenly. Oh, do stop. Look she gives Aladjern is equally piercing, amplified by the withering glares of her sisters. There's one thing we know about the changing god, dear. It's that he's always has a contingency. His child was born here. The object of your obsession will have been reborn somewhere else. Do you know anything about the tides? I've heard the term before, a subject your sire studied in great depth. I'm afraid it isn't my field of inquiry. Okay, so no information about the tides. What was that blast of energy when I awoke? As I was telling my colleague, it was obviously a physiological reaction of some kind. Never witnessed the birth of a cast-off, but yes, it could very well have been caused by your nascent consciousness. Don't worry, I don't believe it caused you any real harm. Not to me, at least. Really, you've been more abrasive than ever since we came in here. He shoots her a sidelong glance. She just can't emphasize with other people unless she's experimenting on them. Are you sure that surge didn't hurt you? If it did, it was damage in our minds, though. How you'd check if it carked her, I couldn't say. Tough to find normalcy there. At least we didn't know. Didn't hurt allergen. That skull's as thick as organic stone. Want to ask something else? If you know the changing God through my body, why do you keep referring to my sire as he? We know your creator through legend research. He's taken the form of men, women, visitants, and other things. Visitants basically being aliens. His form is fluid, as his name suggests, but the stories about the changing God always refer to him. It's easier, Allergen shrugs. You are a woman. The changing God is himself. If falling from the sky didn't kill me, is there anything that can? An excellent question. Having seen your regenerative abilities in action, I suspect they are primarily physical, regrowth. If that's the case, you'd be unable to survive most varieties of psychic or molecular decomposition, disintegration, conflagration, and so forth. Degenerative diseases could pose a problem, and I know of several entities capable of psychic destruction. As she speaks, a vision flashes into your mind. It's not yours exactly. Somehow you know this is a memory of the changing gods. You're in a dark room lit by a myriad of blinking lights and holograms from the many machines surrounding you. What about a body that can withstand the sorrow's attacks? Says a voice. Seems to be coming from one of the machines. No, you reply. The thing has no respect for barriers of any kind. Physical, temporal, psychic. This is the only way. A series of gestures, you bring up an image of a crystalline pod. The resonance chamber works. It will give us the power to stop the sorrow's hunt once and for all. We just need the right focal point, a catalyst. The memory fades. Calastige is still talking. You realize that the device you saw in the memory is identical to the one you see now. The one behind you now. Looks like the Spectre had described it. A transparent sarcophagus filling a crystalline dome. Mechanical arms arrayed around it, a metal ring. Fortunately, the dome is shattered, the sarcophagus is cracked, and one of the arms is in pieces on the floor. Whatever its function, it clearly needs repair. Or flesh-eating viruses, one presumes disfigurement by the iron wind would likewise be devastating enough to... I think she gets the point, Calastige. Do either of you know anything about the sorrow? I've had my share of sorrows, but never the sorrow. What's that, a disease? Her mouth compresses in a tight line. I know nothing about it. Calastige is acting a little bit sus right now. Do either of you know how to fix the crystal chamber there?
I'll remember that.
Aldrin chuckles and firm and certain he says, not likely, though it might not be impossible. You need people with the appropriate knowledge. I'm sure the cult of changing God will hold the answer. Her distaste is evident in the expressions of her echoes, although the face of one in the lead remains carefully impassive. You turn to the insane to help a newborn. What's your judgment, Aldrin? I would take her to the Order of Truth. Order of Truth? Are you mad? The sooner take us apart. What's the Order of Truth? Knowledge seekers, the learned who try to wrest secrets from the hearts of the prior worlds. They gather in the city to exchange their findings and help humanity to build a brighter future. She smiles brightly. Our friend Allergen here was once one of them. Frauds, quacksalvers, and charlatans. They don't have all the answers, and I not trust them with the changing God's secrets. You're just angry that they couldn't help you with yours. Her echoes tinkle laughter. But I'm being too cruel. Dear Allergen, let's take our new friend to the Order. What's the cult of the changing God? Despite what she says, they're not insane. They're eccentrics. She laughs, but he soldiers on. Their worship is of you or your sire, the changing God. They devote their lives to understanding your kind. Okay, so my two options are basically a bunch of cultists who worship the changing God. The changing God is basically an immortal who's found a way to shift his soul or consciousness between bodies that he's made. And then he leaves. He goes off to a different body, and the body that he left behind develops its own consciousness. I am one of them. Whereas the Order of Truth is kind of a religion who attempts to understand all the technology left behind and just understanding everything. Calastige thinks that the cultists are insane, whereas Allergen says that the Order of Truth are a bunch of charlatans and fraudsters, as opposed to like actually knowing the things they claim to know. Okay. I'm trying to think. If the Order of Truth are a bunch of charlatans and fraudsters, and they have a cast off of the changing God, would they attempt to, like, clamp down on me in any way? What's the worst that can happen? The worst that can happen is they attempt to kill me because they think I'm a threat to whatever power they do have. The cult of the changing God, presumably, at least based on what Allergen has told us, they don't really have that much power. They're known. They have some power, but they don't have presumably the same kind of structural power that the Order of Truth has. But they're probably more fanatical. Their entire modus operandi, like their raison d'etre, is to go after us, right? The changing God and all the cast-offs. So, whereas the cultists of the changing God probably wouldn't kill me at the end of the day, they might poke and prod. They might try to, like, hold me captive, etc. I think the issue that I'm running into is, regardless of which person I go with, they're basically going to reveal my cards that I'm a cast off to whoever they bring me to, right? Like, I imagine Allergen will tell the cultists that I'm a cast off, and I imagine Calastige will tell the Order of Truth that I'm a cast off. Whereas, if it's not obvious, like, it's obvious to these two because they saw me fall down from the sky, But if there's no obvious indication that I'm a cast-off, I could presumably go in and do my own research, poking and prodding on either of these two without showing my hand. So thanks for your help, but I'll figure this out on my own. Hold on, I'll come with you. Wouldn't want you getting lost, would we? Suspicious as always, Elgin. Child, the world is an exciting place, but is full of dangers. Rest assured, one of us will get you safely to where you need to be. I'll be right behind you. A sunny smile crosses her hands. Okay, so great. Both of them are just going to be following me. Alright. I do have flex skill and I have hedge magic. So I have Calistige, who doesn't have might, very intellect heavy. This guy is...
What?
Also, they have XP, which is not what they had previously. Let's see. He is a hardened nano who fights with his demons. Interesting. Cipher limit of 5, -2. Does he have 5? So he has a mace. I don't have anything. She has a buzzer, which is like a gun, I guess? She is a cunning nano who pierces realities. Dimensional mantle. And then I'm guessing these are the binding things, binding artifacts. And I just don't have anything. Okay, let's see. Innervate. Okay, yeah, so cipher use. That makes sense. Does have medium weapons, but is otherwise kind of... Okay, so Innervate. Removes all negative fettles. Heals 6 points of health. Costs 1 intellect, so he can heal people. It's not bad. Living tattoos. Grants living tattoos while active. Use similar actions, attacks, defensive esoteric ciphers, or healing esoteric ciphers multiple times in a row to chain increasing effects. Using a different kind of action breaks the chain and removes the fettle. When the chain reaches 4, the fettle is removed. No action required, so it's a passive. He can only target himself. I don't know what chaining means. +1 training level in Cipher. Okay. Okay. Transdimensional Onslaught. Deals 5 transdimensional damage and confers Hobble. The target fails to resist, which is reduced movement speed and evasion. Dimensional superposition. Teleport to a point within range, then gain phased, which converts all damage to transdimensional grants evasion and resistance. Okay. Concentration cipher targeting eye gains plus 15% on esoteric attacks, which would apply to this. Okay. Good on magical lore, good on concentration and perception. Bet on endurance and weapons. Okay. Dower explorer and former Aeon priest with living, intricately designed tattoos that writhe across his forearms. Thinks I could be the changing god, watching you closely. He can pull the tattoos from his arm if there were wires under his skin, using them in battle to defend themselves and his companions. Faded gray duster that buttons from the neck down. Woman whose consciousness has fractured itself through the dimensions. Echoes shimmer through multiple realities. She refers to these alternate shadows as her sisters. Brilliant nano and seems to want something from you. Bright wardrobe of oranges and reds. Wears earrings, necklaces, bracelets, anklets, and belts of varying material. And then there's me. You awoke within a dark fathom of your own mind after plummeting from orbit towards Sagas cliffs. It is a miracle that you managed to survive, and as the sorrow draws closer to you, you may not survive for much longer. Those who have been birthed by the changing god's abandonment are known as cast-offs. There are a few hundred or more scattered throughout the cliffs and wider protectorate. No one knows how many there actually are. Landscape, culture, and history have been shaped in innumerable ways by the changing god. At one point in the distant past, he was a respected researcher and scientist, albeit flawed and selfish. But unlike most mere humans, he is not confined to a single lifetime. For centuries, he's continued his existence by transferring his consciousness into bodies of his own creation. Casting off many vessels that have held his mind, he has moved from life to life, whether to avoid pain, injury, or death, or to seek new sensations and experiences. What I didn't realize at first was that the bodies he left behind, though often severely damaged, were not empty. Each time he tore his mind from one of these husks, a new consciousness was born inside, a new person with their own thoughts and dreams. And we are in the Beyond, which is outside of the Steadfast being the most civilized place of the Numenera setting, which is set up, I think it's the Order of Truth, I can't remember exactly, but it does have their own, like, Amber Pope, which is like the head Aeon priest, basically. Okay, so tab is the button we have to interact with stuff. Broken fragments of the dome ceilings are scattered across the floor. They appear to be made of transparent silk.
All right.
Mechanical arm lies on the floor, presumably broken by your fall. Sparks pour from the arm, shattered housing, filling the air with a gassy stench. Let's examine the housing. Sharply pointed apparatus that formerly toppled the device appears burnt out and useless, but the equipment in the base remains at least somewhat operational, as the constant stream of sizzling motes can attest. Let's attempt to scavenge what we can from the arms housing. Oh, this is might. 75% chance of success. Because of being trained in machinery. So let's see if Allergen can grab this. Success! Taking care to avoid the sparks, you extract several handfuls of shiny trinkets, coin-like objects. You recognize their value at once. Such objects would be accepted as shins, the informal currency in most regions of the world, so you gather them and take them with you. So shins are like bottle caps in the Fallout series, where it's just like shiny pieces of things are used as currency. That's it. We also got spray flesh, which is, it consumes movement and it heals. Okay. We don't have a very big, we don't have a lot of inventory, do we? Seems like a Baldur's Gate inventory.
Yes.
So we can see what's in here. Shins, encephalic rush, we'll put moss. Do those count as ciphers? No? Okay. I might as well just take a look at everything I can here
Yes, now.
while I'm here. A slate black, unimpressive device hunkers before you. As you reach out to touch it, the triangle of lights on its casing blazes into life and an image unfolds in your mind. Towering crystal arch rises over a jagged gray landscape. The air is dead and stifling, and there at its emerald peak, the image collapses, leaving you staring into the device's triangular array of lights. Command me, the device or the intelligence within it says, each word carefully etched with distaste. Towering crystal arch rises over a jagged. What was that arch you showed me? Your command was not understood. The intelligence chuckles, its lights pulsing. Command me. What commands do you recognize? 3 amber lights throb irritably. Heated air sighs from the device's vents, and then towering list of commands races through your mind, far too fast to read. You rub your eyes, groaning, and the intelligence chortles. Command me, it says smugly. Show me the list of commands again, slower, please. If anything, the list pours through your mind even faster than the last time. Command me. Alright, examine the outside of the voice. Indignant hum rises from the intelligence engines as you examine its ancient casing. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. You step back and the hum fades away. Okay, it's not giving me anything. Tiny glowing modes flow through the interior of this tower. Each one is surrounded by much smaller modes, like thousands of words circling the suns. Flexible tubes that are attached to this machine appear to be later additions. Someone cobbled the device together, but its function is unclear.
I'm going.
Sunlight falls through the ragged hole in the roof into the shattered resonance chamber. It is hard to believe that you did this, that you plummeted through the curve of the pale blue sky, crashed through the dome, broke the delicate machine with your own body. It is hard to believe that you are still alive. 4 mechanical arms hang over the center of the device, above the cracked, semi-transparent crystal of the sarcophagus. 5th arm lies broken on the floor among the scattered synth. Crystal shards and metal rings surround the array, dented and broken by your impact crater. Let's look at the sarcophagus. Padded interior beneath the coffin's cracked lid looks like it was made for a human body. Despite the damage, you don't see any way to open it and get inside. You glance between the sarcophagus and the needle-like protrusions at the ends of the arm above. It seems likely that using this chamber would not be a pleasant experience. Examine the arms. Cables run from the machines along the dome's wall to the base of suspended arms, each of which is capped with long needles. Aimed at the cracked coffin-like chamber at the center of the platform, gem-like lights flicker dimly at the base of the arms. Inspect the metal ring. You feel the slightest hint of resistance every time you cross the ring. Now that you're paying attention, you note that your breath is echoing in your ears as though you were a glass dome. When you step inside the ring, the feeling passes. Examine the shards in the ground. Jagged fragments of crystals are intermingled with the synth from the shattered dome. Crystal shards glitter in the light like captive suns. Faint scratching sound draws your attention to 2 crystalline chunks near your feet. As you watch, they tumble gently into each other and meld, their disparate angles flowing together like water. After a moment, they part again, trailing shining threads of living crystal. It seems like the resonance chamber can heal from certain wounds, but not from the amount of damage you've done to it. Having one of the crystal shards might be useful whenever we find someone that might be able to help us out, so I'll pick up one. At the rim of the crater, you find a sliver of crystal, sharp as a dagger on one end and smooth on the other. It might be usable if somewhat crude weapon. 2 physical damage, plus 2 damage per effort applied, max plus 6. And because it's a light weapon, you get plus 3 on weapon attacks. Okay. Not exactly what I would have liked to start with, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Alright, this is pretty much where, as far as I got to when I first played the game, if I remember right. I did go out and maybe went to, like, the first town or something like that, but that's about as far as I got. It's been about 2 hours now. I did not sleep very well last night. And I still have other things to do today. So I'm probably going to end it here, since we're reaching 2 hours, even if the first 30 minutes was me just talking about Numenera, the system and the Money Cook games and stuff like that. Like I said, I'd like to find some time to be able to do stuff during the week, even if it's only like an hour or two. And maybe next Saturday, depending on how things go, I might be able to do for a longer period of time, depending on how things are set up and stuff. So I'm going to end it here. We have 2 nanos and a jack. And let's go ahead and save. Yeah, so 2020 was when I played this. And I got to some place called the Broken Dome. That's interesting. That some point in time I got allergen left. But okay. We'll call this Sage, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna exit. Oh wait, that was exit to desktop. Thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully I see you again next time, and if I don't, have a great life. Bye bye.